Intro. I did not think I'd ever be saying these words, but David Dobrik has decided to return to YouTube after taking a near 3-year break from posting. For anyone who has been following YouTube for the past few years, this moment feels surreal. It's one of those things that people joked about online, saying, "He's never coming back," and yet, here we are. After all the drama, the controversies, the lawsuits, and the silence, David is back. When David stopped posting vlogs, it wasn't just a normal break. He also quit his joint podcast with Jason Nash, a show that had become a huge part of his brand. And after the first year went by, most people assumed it was over for good. Fans moved on, the vlog squad went their separate ways, and it seemed like David had vanished from the YouTube scene completely. But now, after almost 3 years of being away, he has officially returned. And naturally, the internet has exploded with opinions. People are shocked, confused, and curious. So today, we're going to break it all down and talk about everything that has happened. Because honestly, it's a mess. So let's get into it. Backstory. Let's rewind to where it all started to fall apart. Back in March of 2022, David Dobrik unknowingly posted what would become his last vlog for a very long time. At that point, no one realized it would mark the end of an era. This was also right around the same time that Jeff Wittek, one of David's closest friends and vlog squad members, broke his silence about what David had done to him. Jeff opened up publicly about the horrifying crane accident that nearly cost him his life. He revealed that David tried to shift the blame entirely onto him, which led to a massive fallout between them. Eventually, Jeff announced that he would be taking legal action against David. To make things worse, around that same period, Casey Neistat's long-awaited documentary about David premiered at South by Southwest. What was originally meant to be a documentary celebrating David's rise to fame took a much darker turn. The timing couldn't have been worse. The release of the documentary happened just as new allegations and exposes were coming out, particularly the Insider article detailing serious situations involving Dom, another member of the vlog squad, followed soon after by the details of Jeff's accident. It was a complete PR disaster. David, once seen as YouTube's golden boy, suddenly became one of the most criticized creators on the platform. The internet that once loved him turned its back. Sponsors started dropping him. His brand image crumbled almost overnight. So, David did what many fallen influencers do, he walked away. He disappeared from his YouTube channel, abandoned his podcast with Jason Nash, and essentially left behind the friends who depended on his clout and views for their own careers. But David didn't vanish completely. Instead, he took a very strategic deal with Snapchat and made that his new home. He was still creating, just not on YouTube. The best part for him? Snapchat doesn't have a public comment section. That meant he could live in peace, no backlash, no hate comments, no public criticism. It was like living in a bubble where he could pretend that nothing had ever happened. Meanwhile, Jeff was dealing with surgeries, pain, and trauma from the accident that changed his life. David, on the other hand, was traveling the world with his friends, smiling in pictures, and seemingly living the dream. It was almost surreal how he managed to act like everything was fine. Over the course of these 3 years, though, more details slowly surfaced about what kind of person David truly was behind the scenes and how his business really worked. We learned that Natalie, his assistant and longtime friend, allegedly forged Jeff's signature on the accident report. We learned that David banned members of his circle from staying friends with Jeff. He even ended his friendship with Casey Neistat over the documentary, even though Casey hadn't released it publicly yet. There was a lot of covering up and damage control happening, but the truth always has a way of coming out. Usually, when creators mess up, they lie low, and eventually people forget. But with David, it was different. The more time passed, the more stories kept surfacing. His image didn't fade quietly, it kept taking hit after hit. So you can imagine the shock when, out of nowhere, David announced on TikTok that he would be returning to YouTube. the traveling. And just like that, he was back. The very next day, David posted a 14-minute vlog titled Surprising Friends with Body Transformation. In the video, David showed off what he called a new version of himself. He had worked on his body and seemed proud of his progress. But the content itself, the way he filmed, the jokes, the travel montages, it all felt very familiar. David came back to YouTube, yes, but he didn't come back as the changed person people were hoping for. The vlog featured him traveling the world, partying with friends, and having fun. There were scenes of him laughing, joking, showing airplane luxury, saying things like, "Have you ever seen an airplane sink like this? We had a full bed to ourselves, dude, this is crazy." It was classic David Dobrik energy. But to many viewers, it felt tone-deaf. You see, David is still in the middle of a lawsuit for nearly killing Jeff Wittek during that crane stunt. Jeff is still undergoing surgeries and dealing with lifelong injuries. Just last year, Jeff called out Snapchat for funding David's lifestyle, writing, "Yo at Snapchat, you're paying a guy that smashed my skull in for a prank and left me with lifelong injuries. His name is at David Dobrik, and he's traveling the world, partying on your dime, while I have another surgery next month." So, for David to come back to YouTube and immediately show himself traveling and celebrating, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. In the vlog, David told his friend Ilya that if he joined him on a trip, he would take the body transformation seriously. And that's what they did. But showing all that luxury, happiness, and adventure while Jeff is still healing? Not the best look. Podcast. Traveling wasn't the only big update David shared. In his new vlog, he revealed that he's bringing back his old podcast Views, which he used to co-host with Jason Nash. 3 years ago, when David's scandals erupted, his major sponsor SeatGeek dropped him. The podcast went silent. But now, not only is it returning, SeatGeek is back too. David celebrated the return by giving away a Tesla to every single employee at his pizza restaurant, Dobrik's, thanking them for keeping things running while he was gone. It was a big, cinematic gesture, very on brand for him. He said in the video, "I let go of myself and stopped doing the things that I really enjoyed. And believe it or not, my old podcast was at the top of my list. There was only one man who missed it more than me. It's going to be fun. We're going to do it again." Of course, Jason Nash was thrilled. For years, Views had been his primary source of income. When David ended it, Jason was left struggling. He even became a running joke on TikTok for going live constantly and asking fans for support. David once turned down a $10-20 million deal to continue the podcast, which shocked everyone. Now, it looks like he's finally realized the financial potential again. You can almost feel Jason's relief in every clip. For him, this is more than nostalgia, it's financial survival. Casey Neistat. Before we dive into the public's reaction to David's comeback, we need to talk about something strange that happened around the same time, the Casey Neistat situation. Casey, as many know, has still not released his full documentary about David. It premiered at South by Southwest almost 3 years ago, and only the people who attended that event ever got to see it. Casey had hoped a major network would buy the rights, but that never happened. Even though David ended his friendship with Casey because of the documentary, Casey never seemed to go fully against him. Many people felt that Casey was protecting David by not releasing it publicly. After all, he could easily upload it to YouTube, get millions of views, and secure sponsors. But he didn't. Casey even spoke about David in podcasts in surprisingly kind tones, saying things like, "Part of me, as much as I'm ashamed to admit it, still deeply loves and cares for David. Maybe it's about protecting him from himself." This created serious tension between Casey and Jeff. But just a few weeks ago, Casey appeared on Jeff FM to clear the air. He admitted that he struggled between being David's friend and being a journalist. He said that his friendship made him less objective and that he should have kept more distance. Leaked clip. Now here's where things get really strange. Right around the time David returned to YouTube, a clip from Casey's unreleased documentary leaked online. The YouTube account that posted it is called Do Leaked, and they titled it David Dobrik Cancelled Documentary Unreleased 2025. The description said, "Disclaimer, I do not own the rights to this clip. All rights belong to the original creator. Shared for entertainment purposes only. Please Casey, release this ASAP, we need it more than ever." This has left everyone confused. Who could possibly have leaked it? The documentary was only shown once at South by Southwest, and people had to pay hundreds of dollars to attend. If someone had recorded it back then, why would they wait 3 years to release it now? Some fans are speculating that Casey himself might have leaked it to gauge public interest. Maybe he's testing the waters to see if people still want to see the full documentary, especially now that David's back and acting like nothing ever happened. It might just be a coincidence, but the timing feels a little too perfect. Reaction. So, how did people react to David's comeback? On the surface, if you look at the YouTube comments, it seems overwhelmingly positive. Fans were thrilled, leaving comments like "We missed you," and "The King is back." But keep in mind, David is known for heavily moderating his comment sections. It's likely that the comments are filtered to maintain a positive vibe. Outside of YouTube, though, reactions were much more mixed. On Twitter, Jeff Wittek directly replied to David's announcement, saying, "Do a hairline transformation next and get to court." The tweet went viral but was later deleted. Still, it perfectly summed up the bitterness that remains between them. Now the big question is, what's next? Will David face real accountability, or will his return mark the start of a redemption arc? Will Casey finally release his documentary? As always, the internet is divided. Some people are ready to move on, while others refuse to forget. So, what do you think? Did you watch David's comeback vlog? Do you think it was a good move to return before the lawsuit ends? And what about that leaked clip? Could it really be Casey testing the waters, or just someone from the original screening trying to stir up attention? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'll see you next time.